Right, welcome back everybody. At 17 minutes past 6 here on this Tuesday morning, let's look at our question of the day. According to the country's COVID-19 statistics, the infection rate has been above 6,000 new infections per day for the last 5 days. What more do you think needs to be done to prevent the spread of the virus? That's the question we're asking you. We'd love to hear from you at Morning Live, SABC. That is our Twitter handle, #MorningLive.
Right, looking forward to what people have to say in that regard. But let's take a look at the diary for today. The Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture is expected to continue hearing evidence relating to the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA, when it resumes in Johannesburg this morning.
The latest figures now released by the Health Ministry. This is what we're looking at. The cumulative number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in South Africa is 144,264. The number of deaths is now at 2,529. A total of 70,614 people have recovered, but the active cases are now at 71,121.
Right, those information numbers, should you need them, the 24-hour hotline, 0800 029 999, and of course, if you'd like to get in touch via WhatsApp, it's 0600 123 456. And as the infection rate climbs, you may want to have those on hand.
All right, let's break it down for you now, and we can see the increases per province. The Western Cape went up 930 cases. This was according to the numbers released last night. Look at Gauteng, up 2,946. So you can see where the majority of infections right now are happening, or we should say are being reported. It's in Gauteng. The Eastern Cape, there's so much being spoken about the Eastern Cape currently in terms of the healthcare and what's happening with tests being found on the side of the road, the used tests marked urgent, and then also the state of some of the hospitals in the Eastern Cape. And this is a great worry, it really is. But the infection rate there up 1,096. KwaZulu-Natal 608 up, Northwest 284, Limpopo 76, the Mpumalanga province 73, Free State 98, and the Northern Cape 19. You can see the deaths as well that are lined up for you there. The most deaths still coming out of the Western Cape at 1,807, and then Gauteng with 180, Eastern Cape 397, 110, I beg your pardon, 115 in KwaZulu-Natal, the Northwest 7, Limpopo going up to 10 now after recording another death, Mpumalanga 3, the Free State 9, and the Northern Cape 1. And next to that, of course, you can see the recoveries from the respective provinces.
Right, taking a look at those breakdowns now, as we saw, the Western Cape now confirmed cases 61,375. Gauteng has 39,841 cases. Eastern Cape 26,195. KwaZulu-Natal now 9,041. There are 3,931 positive cases in the Northwest Province. Free State 1,377. Mpumalanga 1,089. Limpopo 1,011, and the Northern Cape has 404 positive cases.
All right, your tests that are being conducted, 1.5 million, almost 1.6 million, we're just short of that number. Confirmed cases, 144,264. Recoveries, 70,614. Active cases now surpassing recoveries just slightly, 71,121. And that total death toll again, 2,529. The global picture very quickly, 10.3 million is where we're sitting now in terms of the infections. That's up 190,000 cases from yesterday that are being reported. The World Health Organization saying we are nowhere near the end of this. This is something that's going to accelerate for some time to come. So expect these numbers to keep moving higher. The death toll globally, 504,000 cases, up 4,632 on yesterday. The US, of course, still the epicenter of all of this, 2.6 million. They up 40,691 cases, and the death toll, 128,000 is where they're up. They were reporting 250 more deaths. But Brazil still the story as well. 1.3 million recorded confirmed cases there. That's up 24,000 on yesterday, and the death toll 58,385, up 692 deaths in a day. That is unfortunately the highest death toll in the world so far.
Yeah. India reporting 19,000 more cases yesterday as well. So all of these figures, as the World Health Organization says, indicates that we're far from being out of the woods. Right, moving on to our trending topics now, Leanne. First up, hashtag lockdown extension. So, I guess people are wondering because, as you can imagine, with the number of infections increasing every day, and you're almost looking at record increases on a daily basis now, people are starting to question, what needs to happen. And some are of the view that perhaps a lockdown extension would be the way to go. Not sure. But also, Leanne, what I also found is, like with many of the hashtags now, people just look at something that is perhaps catchy, that will get them traction, and they will just put that hashtag in with things that are totally unrelated.
They will indeed. I mean, you remember when we were calling for the lockdown to end, remember? That was another big thing. Now it's lockdown extension. So I think people are just so confused right now, as is everybody else. But, Gauteng could also be related to this lockdown extension, because there was talk yesterday that, and this was coming from various heads, whether it be the Health MEC and the Premier as well, talking to the fact that because the rate is so high within the province of Gauteng, we're seeing half of the infections coming from here being reported in Gauteng. It's quite a big amount of numbers coming through. They were talking about perhaps doing, intermittent lockdowns and bringing about harder lockdowns in Gauteng as opposed to any other province. I know that's been spoken about before, but whether or not it happens remains to be seen. But that is just something that the Health MEC Masuku basically saying that the province may look at introducing a stricter lockdown as opposed to what the rest of the country are under, because this is now looking like it will be the new epicenter of the coronavirus in South Africa.
Yeah, but if you remember, Leanne, I think the minister also indicated this the last time we spoke to him on the show, that in fact what had happened was that the trends didn't follow what the projections had initially indicated. Remember, Gauteng was actually expected to be the first one to peak, the first province. But then, of course, along came the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape, and those projections just went to the left. But we always knew that Gauteng was going to come to this point.
Yeah, we certainly did. I mean, that is a reality. And, they talk to many reasons as to why, and there's a very good infographic just explaining why Gauteng, with people coming into the province, job opportunities, a lot of population living within the Gauteng province, and other issues, many issues that are here. And just talking to the detection, the case detection, the contact tracing, quarantine, isolation, the government basically wanting to clear the testing backlog, making more beds available. It's the same story for every single province around the country. It's a battle that we're not alone in fighting. This is the world that are going through this right now as well.
Yeah. And then hashtag China passing the Hong Kong security law aimed at crushing protests. And we've seen over the years, so many protests in Hong Kong, and they've been resisting have Hong Kong these changes, these laws. But of course, China finally getting to that point where they passed the security law.
Yeah, it's a big one. It really is. And it'll be interesting to see how they react. I mean, if you go back to all of the protests that we were seeing in Hong Kong at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, and then suddenly it came to an end when we saw the pandemic coming through, and lots of suspicions being raised about that as well, if you believe in all the conspiracy theories. But this now coming through, and I think a great fear of a surge in protests coming from Hong Kong as well after this was passed. So yeah, interesting day on social media, and as it always is, a very interesting thing to read. All right, that brings us to the end.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so we'll await your response to our question of the day. In the meantime, let's take a break. Valen has some sporting news for us. All of that still to come.